Faker is about to play in yet another World Championship, and once again, fans all over the world are underestimating T1. But this time, there's a pretty good reason. If Faker even wants to make it to the main event, he'll have to win a best-of-5 in what's pretty much the toughest play-in stage in history. So what's going on, and does the GOAT actually have a chance at the three-peat? Alright, it's mid-October, and you know what that means? I know what that means. It's time to make videos about Faker at Worlds, so you can all comment about how he's single-handedly providing us with our paychecks. You're not wrong, but we're not gonna stop.
Before we get into the video, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Omen. This year, Omen has been our portal to possibility by sending us all across the world to cover the biggest events in esports. And thanks to them, we were able to go to Paris and capture all the excitement from VCT Champions, the most anticipated Valorant tournaments of 2025. Unleash your ultimate gaming potential with the Omen Max 16 laptop. Crafted for powerful performance, the Omen Max 16 is equipped with up to an Intel Core Ultra 9 processor, offering gamers desktop-level performance anywhere encased in a light, portable body they can take on the go. Then there's also its groundbreaking new self-cleaning fan technology called Fan Cleaner. Powered by Intel, this built-in feature periodically reverses the fan's direction to prevent dust buildup for absolutely peak reliable performance. And for the first time ever, Omen gives players the ability to manually overclock their laptop CPU and GPU for max performance up to 250 watts total processing power without having to go into the BIOS. Thanks again to Omen for helping players navigate through any gaming obstacle to reach new levels with the Omen Max 16, now available at omen.com. And now, let's get back to our story.
Alright, so there's no actual guarantee we'll be making lots of Faker videos because Faker needs to win a best-of-5 against IG on the very first day of Worlds. If he loses, he goes home. That's it. But why exactly are two world-class teams in a must-win best-of-5 before the main event even starts? Well, Riot made some pretty big changes to the play-ins of the tournament this year. In the past, we've seen a handful of teams from developing regions play for the final spots in the main events. We have seen some LCK and LPL teams compete in play-ins, though not for a few years now. In 2022, DRX had to qualify through play-ins as Korea's 4th seed before winning the entire tournament. But in the long history of Worlds, we've never had a play-in format that guarantees a major region team will be eliminated, let alone one of the LCK or LPL seeds. No Korean or Chinese team has ever failed to at least make it to the main event. So this is something different. Now, just how tall a task will this be for our heroes? Well, I do think a majority of people will favour T1 here. IG has been a very inconsistent team this summer, and while they have had very high highs at some points during the year, they've also had some really low lows. I think it's impossible not to be excited to see Rookie and the Shy back together on the team they took all the way to the Summoners Cup. But in particular, we haven't really been seeing the Rookie of old this summer, and the whole team will need to step it up if they want to make a deep run at Worlds. But on the other hand, T1 have also had their ups and downs this year. At MSI, they looked like they were just a stone's throw from Gen.g, clearly the world's strongest team for most of the year, but they got smashed by HLE in the summer playoff bracket and are coming into Worlds as Korea's lowest seed. Now, if you know T1, you'll know that doesn't really mean anything. They seemingly always pull it together at Worlds. It's just their playground. So you may be asking, who cares? Well, let's think for a second about that T1 magic at the World Championship. For the last few years, it's been kind of hard to quantify what makes Faker's team so unstoppable at Worlds, but there's a few things that have been consistently true, and one of their biggest strengths has been adapting to the World's meta as the tournament wears on. They almost always have a really strong read on the patch, and they almost always become more and more comfortable as the event goes on. They're also insane at skirmishing and incredibly clutch in the most important games. But one foundational element of their strength during the last 3 years has been that T1 level up and rise to the occasion over the course of the event. This year, they have to win a best-of-5 against a strong team with a ton of potential on literally the first day of Worlds, with 0 previous games on the patch, and the loser just goes home. So it's looking to be a stressful week for Faker fans, and maybe even more stressful if you're cheering for the Shy and his army of rats.
We're going to Worlds, baby! We're going to Worlds! Rookie, crack the champagne! Gotta carry you the whole way!
Now, if T1 do make it through to the main event, I think a lot of people expect them to make a deep run, because that's just what T1 does, even without Zeus. And I think all eyes are going to be on their matchup with Gen.g. For most of this year, it seemed like every high-profile match between these teams has been a nail-biting 5-game banger. Gen.g has won every single time, but Chovy and Ruler both know better than anyone that it doesn't matter until they do it at Worlds.
일단 저번에 T1에서 T1한테 이제 국제 대회에서 진 게 월즈 무대였는데 이번에 MSI에서 저희가 T1을 이기고 우승한 건 그건 그거고 월즈 때는 또 따로 복수를 하면서 승리할 수 있도록 계속 저희의 그 실력을 갈고 닦아두겠습니다.
As for Gen.g, they do genuinely look like clearly the best team in the world. Chovy has refined and focused his play, turned himself into probably the highest peak mechanical player we've ever seen in the game, and he's flanked by arguably the greatest jungler and AD carry of all time. It is a crazy fantasy lineup. In a very real way, this is going to be their tournament to lose. Still, they are not invincible. They can bleed, as KT proved in their domestic playoffs. And Korea is sending a stacked lineup of teams. We shouldn't ignore KT's potential to upset off the back of crazy performances like what BDD managed in playoffs, and we also shouldn't overlook Hanwha Life, who have an incredibly high ceiling as they showed us at first stand. And let's also take a moment to talk about China's representatives. BLG are coming in with some momentum after a very up and down year, but with their jungle situation seemingly more solid than it was at MSI, and what are still some of the most individually talented players in the world, there's no question they're a huge threat. And then there's AL, a very methodical team by Chinese standards. They're really, really good in team fights, as they showed the world at MSI. Just like T1, they took Gen.g all the way to a sweaty 5 games, and there's no question they have it in them to push all the best teams in the world to the edge. When it comes to Worlds, any of these teams reaching their ceiling could probably take the title. I mean, it's hard to believe in top esports after the rocky season they've had, but they've shown up against the LPL's best this summer, and EU and NA are sending 2 of the strongest Western teams we've seen in a minute in Fly and G2. In short, folks, it's Worlds. Anything and everything can and probably will happen. The lineup looks absolutely stacked this year. I think by and large, every region is truly sending their best, and I can't wait to see what happens.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning into today's video. All year, we've been traveling around the world with our friends at Omen to bring you coverage of the biggest events on the esports calendar. As part of that, I'd like to ask you all if you could fill out the survey via the link in the description below so we can continue to bring you the content we know that you love. It really helps us out. Thanks for watching.